Somewhere in the moss on your roof, right now, there is an animal that does not seem to know how to die. For 250 years, people have been trying to find the thing that finally kills it, and they haven't. They boiled it. It lived. They froze it to 1 degree above absolute zero, colder than the dark between the stars, and it lived. They hit it with enough radiation to kill a person 1,000 times over, and it stitched its own DNA back together and kept walking. And when every method we had on Earth had failed, somebody decided the only place left to try was off the planet, so they strapped it to the outside of a spacecraft and left it in open space. It came back alive, and then it laid eggs. This is the tardigrade. You might know it as the water bear or the moss piglet, a name scientists genuinely use. It's 0.5 millimeter long and looks like a gummy bear that gave up. And this is the story of how we found it, how we slowly realized it might be the most indestructible living thing on Earth, why it works, which we only really cracked recently, and what that quietly means for us. Because nobody studies a speck of pond life for decades because it's cute. We do it because it can do something we can't. It starts in 1773 with a German pastor named Johann Gose and an early microscope. He found a tiny, 8-legged thing in pond water, walking slowly, rolling side to side like a little bear, so that's what he called it, the water bear. An Italian priest, Lazzaro Spallanzani, gave it the name that stuck, tardigrade, Latin for slow stepper. So the most indestructible animal ever discovered was found by 18th century clergymen squinting into pond scum, and the most notable thing they could think to say about it was that it walks slowly. They had no idea what they were holding, because in a drop of water, the tardigrade isn't much. It eats algae, lives a couple of months, and dies of old age like anything else. It's a small, soft, mortal animal, right up until its world starts to dry out. Which is what Spallanzani stumbled into, and it unsettled biology for 100 years. He let his water bears dry out completely. They shriveled into wrinkled grains and stopped. No movement, no heartbeat, nothing any test he had could call life. By every standard available to him, they were dead. And then he added water, and they came back. The legs unfolded, and the animals simply stood up and walked away, as if they hadn't just spent who knows how long as dust. He had watched an animal die and then undie on command. That argument ran for over a century, and it was never really about a bug. It was about death. Either it genuinely died and came back, or it had found some third state, neither alive nor dead, that nobody had a word for. They eventually named it cryptobiosis, hidden life, which for a long time was just a polite label for, we have no idea how this works. What they could do, without understanding it, was push. And the 20th century turned into a slow contest to find the limit. There wasn't one. In the 1920s, Paul Rahm took them to temperatures that don't exist in nature. Liquid helium, near minus 272 degrees Celsius, 1 degree above absolute zero, the coldest anything can physically be. He warmed them back up. They walked away. Then past 150 degrees of heat. Same result. Both ends of the thermometer, nothing. In the 1960s, they brought out radiation, and this was supposed to end it. A dose of 5 to 10 units kills a person. The tardigrade shrugged off more than 5,000, 1,000 times the lethal human dose, the kind that shreds DNA into fragments. It does shred the tardigrade's DNA too. The animal just rebuilds it afterward, faster than the damage piles up. Then pressure, 6 times the crushing weight at the bottom of the Mariana Trench. It didn't care. By the end of the century, the pattern was undeniable and a little unnerving. Heat, cold, drought, radiation, pressure, every way this planet kills things, and the answer kept coming back the same. So there was really only one question left. And if you've made it this far, and you're still leaning in instead of looking away, do me a favor and hit the like button. It's the main thing that tells me to keep making these. Anyway, the question was the obvious one. We'd run out of ways to kill it down here. So what happens up there? In 2007, a European mission called Photon M3 strapped living tardigrades to the outside of a spacecraft and left them in open space for 10 days. No air, no pressure, and the full, unfiltered ultraviolet radiation of the sun, the kind of light we use to sterilize equipment. The vacuum alone pulls most living things apart in seconds. They came home, got a drop of water, and woke up. Some of the ones that took the worst of it laid eggs that hatched normally, the first animal known to survive open space. And then in 2019, almost like the universe wanted to make a point, it reached the moon. A lander called Bereshit was trying to be the first private craft to touch down, carrying thousands of dried, dormant tardigrades. It lost control and crashed, which means there's a real, unresolved chance there are tardigrades on the moon right now, intact, switched off, waiting. Nobody has gone to check. The first life from Earth to reach another world might be the moss piglet, and it only got there because we dropped it. For about 240 of those years, all of this was a fact with a hole underneath it. We knew it survived. We had no idea how. The answer only came together in the last decade, and it's stranger than the survival itself. When conditions turn lethal, the tardigrade forces almost all the water out of its body, up to 99% of it, and pulls into that dried husk, the tun. In place of the water, it floods its cells with special proteins that turn the inside of the animal into glass. A real, solid, glassy state, where its DNA, its proteins, all the machinery of being alive, is locked rigidly into place. Nothing can move, so nothing can break. And its metabolism doesn't slow down. It stops, below 1/100% of normal, so close to nothing that biologists still argue about whether a tardigrade in a tun is alive at all. That's the secret. It isn't tough. It steps out of the fight entirely, stops being alive, waits, and starts again. For radiation, it has a second tool, a protein called SUP, short for damage suppressor, that wraps around its DNA and takes the hits. Scientists dropped that gene into ordinary human cells, and those cells became about 40% more resistant to radiation. That is where this stops being about a bug and starts being about us. Because that's the real reason a 0.5 millimeter pond animal has serious labs paying attention. We're not just studying it, we're trying to copy it. That damage suppressor protein is being investigated right now to shield human cells from radiation, and that opens two doors. One is cancer treatment. Armor the healthy tissue around a tumor, and you can hit the tumor far harder than we currently dare. The other is Mars, because the hardest problem with sending people there isn't the rocket. It's that the radiation on the way will slowly take the crew apart before they arrive. A gene we borrowed from a tardigrade may be part of how we survive the trip. The glass trick matters just as much. The reason vaccines and blood have to be kept cold is that the water in them lets everything decay, and the tardigrade learn to dry living material into glass and hold it indefinitely at room temperature. And the biggest one, we now have proof an animal can survive open space and come back. That means life isn't necessarily trapped on the world that made it. We may have already started spreading it ourselves, by accident, the day we crashed a box of them into the moon. But step back, because underneath all of it, there's one fact that should sit with you. The tardigrade has been doing this for 500 million years. It was here before the dinosaurs. It lived through all 5 mass extinctions, including the asteroid that ended the dinosaurs in a single afternoon, and simply declined to take part. A few years ago, scientists ran the numbers on what it would take to kill every tardigrade on Earth. The answer was, essentially, that you'd have to boil the oceans completely dry. Not a nearby exploding star, not an asteroid, nothing short of sterilizing the planet. So picture the far future. The sun swells red and burns the oceans off for good. Every city, every person, every language, everything we ever built, gone and forgotten, because there's no one left to remember it. And somewhere in the last of the drying water, this tiny, soft, half-millimeter animal will do the only thing it has ever done when the world turns against it. Pull in its legs, force out its water, turn to glass, switch off, and wait to see if things get better. They won't. But it'll wait anyway, long after the rest of us are a thin gray line in the rock. We didn't go looking for the most unkillable thing on Earth. We tripped over it in pond scum and spent 2.5 centuries realizing we'd found something closer to an instruction manual, written for a future none of us will see, by the one creature that almost certainly will. We're not studying a weird little animal. We're taking notes. If there's an animal you want us to take apart next, drop it in the comments. I keep a list. Subscribe, because this whole channel is animals that have no business working the way they do. See you in the next one.